an experience as much as it is a fidelity thing. You know, why do we have movie theaters when you can just get it on your TV streaming? Because a movie theater is an experience. That's the same thing as a vinyl record. Hey, I'm Cameron Henry. Welcome to 1979. I'm Cameron Henry. I'm the mastering engineer here at Welcome to 1979. This is my vinyl mastering rig. It's a Neumann VMS 70 cutting lathe. It was made in 1973. I've had it restored and maintained, and it still cuts records really well. I have a Studer tape machine that was built specifically for cutting discs, so I can cut from an analog tape source. I've obviously also got a Pro Tools rig to cut from digital. And because we're in a recording studio, we can do direct-to-disc recording, which is just playing live, and the only recording medium is the disc that's being cut. A disc is cut in real time. Music just plays and this thing spins, and it cuts a lacquer. It's a blank side, but when music gets cut on it, it ends up like this. I just have to listen to the record all the way through while it does its thing. And then when it's done, I can inspect the grooves with a microscope, because I'm cutting one copy, and this copy is going to be the mold that sets what every single production copy of the record sounds like. So it's really important I get this one right. We use a 14-inch lacquer for cutting a 12-inch album. That gives me an inch on the outside to do calibration, make sure that my depth is right, the grooves are spaced out how I'd like them to be. And then once everything's set the way I like it, I'm gonna run the cutter head in. It's gonna cut the outermost concentric circle and start cutting a lead in. The record's kind of like a seismograph. Imagine if you took 2 dowel rods and attached them to your speaker cones with a pencil on the end of it. And as the speakers vibrated, it would shake that pencil. It's basically the same thing that's happening in this triangular piece. 2 small coils vibrating like speakers that are attached at 45-degree angles to that cutting stylus that's just etching the groove in the disc. Our artist lounge. It's a great spot, especially for bands that are working out arrangements before they record. They can all kind of hang out in here, set up a few practice amps, go through how they want to perform their song before they get spread out into headphone recording world. I've recorded an entire band in this hallway. It's a great place to record horns because you can get a nice space. The ceilings are really high. We can also use it as a reverb chamber by throwing a PA monitor on the couch and a microphone at the bar down here, and use the entire space as just a natural reverb space. We also have Carnival Cruise Line's regulation official shuffleboard going on the floor for those late night parties. We have the control room for the studio. This is probably one of the larger control rooms you'll ever see. And we have an MCI 428 console that we've modified with API preamps, Trident sidecar, and a bunch of outboard gear, and tape machines, and they're all functioning, working, and used every day. Today they're recording to Pro Tools, which is the rarity at this place. We're usually pretty tape-centric. They're just rolling straight to digital, which is fine, because you know there's a lot of romanticism about tape, but digital works just as well. It's more about the process. Sounds pretty good to me. Come on into the game room. It's a nice place to hang out or just get away. We got the foosball table, we got pinball, we got dartboard, we got a jukebox. See in there. Scrolling through. So this is Mara Machines, a sister company of Welcome to 1979. It's the largest tape machine restoration company in the world. I don't know how many machines they do. I'd say probably 30 a year, 30 or 40 machines a year. Get completely rebuilt by 3 or 4 people that work in here all the time. So this is the latest addition to the studio, and it's an electroplating facility, which is the second step of vinyl record production after I cut a lacquer. So I cut a lacquer, bring it up here, and it eventually gets turned into a metal stamper that'll go into a press, and I'll show you guys how that process works. So the first step in production of a stamper happens in this booth, where the lacquer gets sprayed with liquid silver, so it looks like a silver record. And then we come dunk it into one of these booths over here. The lacquer's attached to a disc that's just spinning, and there's nickel pellets in there. And like there's a ton of current right now, 171 amps of electricity at 9 volts. That's a ton of amps. It's just running between these nickel pellets and that silvered lacquer, and the nickel is plating onto the back of the silver. So after, I don't know, 40 minutes or so, they'll pull it out and they'll pull the metal off of the lacquer, and they will have a metal negative of a record that will have ridges instead of grooves. At that point, the lacquer is discarded, and that metal part is the new master, called a father. The next one to grow off of it will be a mother. It'll be a playable metal record, and then we can grow stampers off of the mother. So the idea is to get the information that's on the lacquer transferred to metal as quickly as possible to retain all of the nuance and detail that's in the lacquer. Every pressing plant is a little different with how the stampers fit onto their press. So we have a room in the back here where we can form a finished stamper to properly fit the mold of the press. So like this one will fit a specific kind of press. So when they put it on, it'll lock in, it won't shift left and right, it'll just become one with the press. You know, B side on the bottom, A side on top, and then it just stamps records out like they're pancakes. Although this looks a lot like manufacturing, at the heart of it is just quality control from an audio standpoint. You know, everybody that works in this room started as an audio engineer or a music audiophile or an artist and have learned the chemistry. They all understand what good records should sound like. By the time people's records have gotten to me, they've got a release date they're trying to meet. We want to make sure that they meet their release date with a record that isn't of subpar quality. Right now, meeting the release date seems really important, but 3 years from now, that's not important anymore, but the quality of the record is. So we really try to make sure that that is the focus. The guy who manages this plating department is a visual artist as well, and he makes all of these etchings into lacquers that eventually end up as a stamper. And these are just examples on the wall, but they were actually used for production records. So if you bought a vinyl record, you flipped it over, there would just be a picture, you know, that you would see for a band. Or on this wall, we've got a few that were actually playable. You know, so this picture of this Blowfly record actually has a song written around the outer edge. Same with that saw blade one. There's music actually on there. So if someone was brave enough to drop their needle on the picture, they'd get a song that was a secret song. All right, well, we're ready to get out of here. We'll show you the way to get downstairs is to take the twisty slide. Thanks for coming.